what did you think of Whoopi Goldberg saying it's worse to be a black person in America today than a woman in Iran? You know, I see we were talking about the trans issue before, and the New York Times really has come over on that to the sort of the sensible, liberal, not crazy woke position. I think this is a great first step toward getting the Democrats back to sanity, and a second good step would be we got to do something about The View. I really believe that. I mean,
why you keep calling this like an undocumented attack, that you don't agree with the war and illegal,
unconstitutional.
So did you believe it was illegal in April of 2011 when the Office of Legal Counsel memo stated from President Obama that the president has constitutional authority to direct the use of military force in Libya because he could reasonably determine that such use of force was in the national interest prior congressional approval was not constitutionally required to use military force in these operations? Where were you then complaining?
I agreed. Well, I wasn't on the show then.
No, but personally, would you have stood against that?
I was at home complaining. No, I wasn't complaining because the Office of Legal Counsel was involved. And the Office of Legal Counsel...
This came after.
But the Office of Legal Counsel is the office in the Department of Justice, because I worked at the Department of Justice, that reviews these things and makes legal determinations. This president doesn't go through the Office of Legal Counsel. This president does not go to Congress. Congress has the power to enact, to approve wars. This Congress has the power of the purse. This president is acting more like a king than anything else. He is the commander. He's the commander-in-chief, but he is not a king. And so I think that this should have gone through Congress. I think that the American embassies should have been notified so that American citizens in the Middle East would have been able to get to safety. I don't think that this was done appropriately. I maintain that this is illegal and unconstitutional.
We're going to take a break.
Elizabeth is doing a very great job, and I really appreciate what she's doing. If you realize these few weeks, a lot of people are starting to watch The View simply because of a tough woman like this calling them out for who they are. At some point, I was impressed. When you take a look at this, you can clearly see that this selective outreach is always when it concerns a Republican. In fact, Trump. Yeah. You will not see The View, you know, if you check, because today I did research to actually see if I can see their previous videos, how they talk against Obama during the strike in Syria, you know, things like that. I've not seen a single video. Because it is Trump, oh, there was no congressional approval. Oh, this is illegal. It's unconstitutional. That is all I see every single time. And when I see a lady like this, putting them on their shoes is something I really appreciate. But there is one lady that did something. Before we go into that video, first take a look at what this lady said on this clip.
Many people were rightfully moved by the suffering that took place in Gaza and West Bank. It's also true that hundreds of thousands of Iranians have been brutally repressed by their government, which is essentially a brutal theocratic regime. But you'll notice that the Iranian news does not get the same global outrage as the previously mentioned subject. There's a psychology behind all of this, and you have many people asking, especially Iranians, where is our help? Where is our support? Where are the people that are going to stand up and post about what's happening here with us? It's not about politics. There's actually a psychology behind what we're seeing here. It's the psychology of selective solidarity. This is a well-studied social psychology that states that human beings often form their political identities based on alliances, meaning whatever the group is doing, whatever the group supports, they perceive this to be a part of their identity, and therefore they must fall in lockstep, in line with whatever the group is doing. Their actions are typically based on that and not consistent principles. We tend to support causes that align with our political tribes, and we will downplay causes that don't fit those political alliances. In other words, our ideological group will determine which suffering we prioritize. Whenever a cause serves a narrative, we will amplify it. If it doesn't, we will downplay it, or just downright ignore that it's happening at all. So that's not principle consistency. It's actually motivated reasoning. Motivated reasoning is a psychological bias. It's very similar to confirmation bias in the way that it operates. People interpret news and they receive evidence that further affirms what they already believe or amplifies what they believe already. Rather than updating their beliefs based on facts, they will essentially move or tailor the facts to fit their worldview that they already hold. So people may passionately oppose actions, but remain silent about human rights abuses in Iran. And not because one situation is more important, but because one
is right. If a group, maybe sponsored by George Soros, comes out to demonstrate, they don't care. Some will not even understand why they're demonstrating on the street, simply because they are being paid. So you will see that they do this selectively. Because it is Trump, you will not see them. If this was done by maybe a Democrat president, you will see these people. So at some point, I understand the politics.
tendency. It's not a personal flaw, but that way of thinking can distance your moral clarity. And I'm really big on this. Two things can be true at the same time. You can want freedom for Palestine and oppose authoritarianism anywhere, including inside Iran. That is what you call principled consistency. That is important. Because selective outrage ultimately undermines your credibility, especially when it's involving moral issues. People will notice when your compassion seems contingent on your politics. Instead, it should be grounded in universal human dignity. So the Iranian people today are caught between their own government's brutal repression and dissent, and a much wider geopolitical conflict involving many states and many alliances. That deserves attention, not political convenience. You can advocate for oppressed Palestinians and still advocate for oppressed Iranians. Do you oppose oppression everywhere or only when it fits your team's narrative? Are you able to hold multiple truths at once? It actually transcends tribal identity.
When I see someone that is educated to this level, I always appreciate what she has put on this video. Just summarize everything that is happening right now. People support what their group is supporting, no matter if it is right or wrong. At this time, I should be seeing Greta Thunberg, flying, doing some kind of demonstrations everywhere. I should be seeing some of these people, but they are silent. It's like they are not existing any longer. Why? Because their selective outreach doesn't favor anything that has to do with. It should not be this way. If you are a truthful activist, I should see you in every situation. I should see your points. Oh, why you are not demonstrating? Why? I should be able to see you. At that time, you will believe that no, this person is doing a right thing. When it concerns an individuals that you oppose their politics, that is when you show up. Like I said at the beginning, most of these people have been sponsored. Yeah, they paid money for them to come out on the street and demonstrate. And by so doing, it has actually caused a lot of issues to people who understand the politics behind that. I saw recently some say, oh, why can't George Soros sponsor this group of activists to come on the street and demonstrate this time? They will not do that. It gets boring every single time.
A few things in regard to what Sonny's saying about it being a legal war. Every modern president since Reagan has done this in attacks from Syria, Libya, Bosnia, Panama. So it happens continually to give it context. The other thing is the travel.
What does?
That Congress has ceded this power a long time ago. And I have a lot of criticisms on Congress, and this is one of them. If you want to be part of the conversation, don't hand your power over to the presidents, which they have done. Two, the travel policy. I wanted to look this up because there are a lot of Americans stranded. It ends up since the 70s that the government has put countries on certain warning labels like beware, but also it is not the government's responsibility. They won't have the capacity to bring everyone.
You believe that? The Western feminists who actually went to my country wore hijab.
Why are liberals so moronic?
Approval, that is an impeachable offense. But when Biden did it to multiple Middle Eastern countries, that was fine.
I'm a military spouse, and yesterday my post went viral.
A clip that we ran before saying who those troops fight for. How dare you, Meg?
What I can say is that Donald Trump is a real Gemini.
Yes, I love you. I don't judge you.
I want you to know how deep my hatred for you runs right now if you voted for this. So my recent video talking about Iran and what's going on as the wife of an active duty service member has gone viral on the MAGA side of the internet.
Message for every single American who voted for President Trump. From the bottom of my heart, thank you.
Democrats are going to cry, oh, boo-hoo, why are you doing it?
First of all, the president has consistently, over the course of his entire public life, said he will never permit the Iranian regime to have a nuclear...
We got here just moments after initial...
Well, apparently, in this document...
Our chamber is chanting USA. This is a sick person from the first...
I was there, and it's where you're seeing awards being presented.
They're just so disgusting.
Of course, he chose ruled against.
All right, these little drama queens. Here's the video. He shook everyone's hand. Everyone. There's the Chief Justice. To the point where they had to come back on the air and say this in SOT 33.
But we should point out as he walks in, he's pretty close to the justices again as he comes down on the floor, that he did shake their hands there.
They thought they had such a juicy moment.
And to press this country to... The border! I stuck in the border. Go Trump!
For the slain passenger in North, our first priority is Americans rather than illegal.
Can take away from the joyous moment as all Americans. And why are they putting a medal?
Oh, he's already under scrutiny for 1,000 reasons. Patel posted this on X.
People on the left are absolutely losing their minds.
Because now it's our job.
I get suspicious when anybody, whether it's
no one should be above scrutiny.
I think that Whoopi Goldberg, you might want to think.
Isn't their whole testimony?
Don't use it as a platform.
Person's home.
In such emotional turmoil.
And Republicans on both.
Hey, Joyce the Advocate here. Come on, Canada.